The first thing that we should know and understand is how close they were, the two of them together. He never went to the Okeechobee fishing and hunting camp that she did not go also. They went together.
When Mr. and Mrs. Selby got married, his father set up a trust fund for her. And his father said, I never want you to feel dependent on Bill. I want you to have your own money.
Wow.
So, I mean, you want to talk about foresighted brilliance? You know, think about it. That's 1909, okay, that his father said, I never want you to feel dependent on Bill.
They stayed at home. They were homebound people by their choice. So they were not really very well known as citizens of Sarasota until they were gone. I would think the appreciation of the city of Sarasota and its citizens for what they and the Selby Foundation has done for the community, they might have enjoyed, but they would not have reveled in it. But the community owes a lot to the Selbys and their donation of their entire rather vast estate to doing good for Sarasota. That is good evidence to me anyway of their feelings about the community and the natural resources that are here. They really wanted to benefit Sarasota, and that's what they have done. They did not deal with the vastness of their funds and estate. They didn't go to New York. They didn't go to Tampa. They didn't go to Miami or wherever a lot of people go to get the services that they think they deserve. They stayed right here. They dealt with local people the whole time.
They were very, very private people. Some would call them uniquely frugal, all right, but yet generous. So I'm going to give you a frugal and a generous. So someone brought Leroy Collins around one time, who was running for governor, and gave a good political pitch on why Leroy Collins would be quite the candidate. And of course they were thinking there might be a check with several zeros on it coming out. Mr. Selby at that point said, I think you'll be a fine governor. Went into his wallet, came out and gave him a $50 bill. Another story, though, is that one day Mrs. Selby went into the Chidsey Library and the shelves were barren. And Mrs. Selby said, why don't you have any books on those shelves? And they said, well, we just don't have any money, it didn't come in the budget. She says, oh my gosh. She wrote a check out for $35,000, handed it to her and said, and don't tell anyone I gave you this. All right, so I mean, there was, when things struck them as important, I think they were very generous. And when it wasn't important to them, it wasn't. Mr. Selby and his father, they worked in the oil fields out in Texas and Oklahoma, and they were the ones that discerned where you should drill. They actually didn't drill, but they told other people where to drill. Mr. Selby saw that men who worked in the oil fields were restricted because they couldn't get an education. And that was one of the threads that led to their commitment to education and scholarships. Mrs. Selby was so passionate about scholarships that and the people who got the scholarships, I think that's another thing. She took a great interest in the people who got the scholarships. So when in the state college system, there would be housing, and they would have the Selby house, that she would make sure that people not only got a scholarship to go in, but also had the housing made available to them. There's one story about she decided to take a piano up to FSU and put it in her Cadillac, and I don't know how a piano fit in a Cadillac. So somehow, but she took, that's the story that I heard. She was determined they were gonna have the musical experience because she was a musician. Mrs. Selby was a pianist. And she wanted to make sure that the college dorm had a piano for the girls up there. The Selbys were progressive in terms of things they wanted to be progressive on, but they also liked things the way they were. One person told me the story about the fishing camp that the Selbys would go to up on in Alexandria, Minnesota, I think it was, and it was Blake's on the Lake up there. And at one point, Mr. Selby wrote a check to Blake's and said, because Blake's wanted to expand and add, and he says, I will pay you to keep it the way it is right now. So he had, he knew, again, they knew what they wanted. They were very thoughtful in what they did and purposeful. I do think one of the most powerful stories that I did hear is Marie saying one of the few regrets in life that she had was that Bill and she did not start the foundation earlier, because she knew how much he would have enjoyed the decision making that she found during the 16 years. And I think that shouts volumes about how seriously she took the decision making and how important it was, and she knew he would have enjoyed going through the ruminations of, is this the right thing to do or not?